Study hard for these 2 years and then enjoy for the next 20 years of your life. If this is a statement that you've heard as a student during 11th and 12th, then you're just like the rest of us.
Welcome to episode 2 of Quarantine Talks with Srijan and Sarba, and this is what we guys want to talk about today.
So obviously, if you're being absolutely honest, okay, if you can look into my eyes and tell me that you have never complained about the way that students are taught in this country, then you'd be lying, and I wouldn't believe you. Because frankly, it's a big country with a lot of opinions, and I feel as though we all have something to say about about the way education is, about the way people are educated in this country.
One of the reasons that I personally believe Indian education system as a whole is not doing that great as compared to other countries would be firstly because of rote learning. I don't understand why so much importance is given to rote learning rather than the learning of concepts. And I'm just going to be straight up here. Till 10th, I was forced to do history and geography, and I was forced to learn absolutely terms, as in Treaty of Versailles, World War II, World War One, the Cold War. I don't even remember. You just tell me what's the point in learning all that when I'm not even going to remember it. I understand, like there were actually a select few students who were actually interested in that. Maybe you could make it a choice, why force people to pursue a particular subject till 10th when they already know their interest. I remember I was so happy after 10th ended, so I could finally focus on science. Obviously, looking back now, I realize I was a big misconception. But still, at the moment I was happy because I didn't have to do history and geography. And so saying, as I was talking about rote learning, there are way too many assignments and projects that are given to everybody, and at the end of the day everyone just ends up copying. We were given so many projects wherein me and all of my friends used to just go on Wikipedia, just copy paste whatever was there and paste it on a project, and there was essentially no learning. Another thing that I don't understand is why everyone wants marks, and I don't think I really blame the students for that. And let's just put this directly out there. I don't understand why there's a sort of discrimination, and I'm going to blame teachers here straight up. I don't understand why a good student is someone who scores well and a bad student is someone who scores less marks. I don't understand that discrimination. When you make that discrimination, it makes a child believe that he or she can succeed in life only if he or she gets good marks, and that's I got 50 out of 100 in the prelims of my 10th standard, and I'm still doing pretty well. I don't know. What do you have to say about this?
Obviously, you make a pretty good point that discrimination isn't good anywhere. Discrimination isn't good at any time, like at any sector of society, and this is definitely again one of them. You don't want to lower students' self-confidence right from the get-go. They're literally just stepping into life, which is again a very difficult journey. Another thing something I have a problem with is that, like, while we're in school here, we're blindly made to follow like a specific set of rules and instructions. Like, there's a curriculum, and teachers are like, they make sure that we mandatorily follow that specific rules of instructions. And the problem with this is that this translates when you enter a job, and that I feel as though, like, this system, it does not allow you to be creative, maybe, like, in the sense that maybe there are some people who are definitely maybe not capable of memorizing many formulas and things like that. So for them, the solution is to, obviously enhance the creative side. Like, maybe arts used to be looked at like a pastime, subject. But then I feel as though definitely cartoonists and newspapers and all, they are surviving. Like, they do earn enough to survive. So I feel as though maybe they should maybe these kind of subjects should be emphasized more, like arts and maybe English. Like, people are like, oh, English is just another subject that just for increasing marks. It's like, no, there are some people who genuinely like English and who genuinely want to pursue it, and this is their skipping stone. So we shouldn't just completely ignore these subjects or not give them the emphasis they deserve. Like, what do you think?
I agree with you on this, and I remember we used to get like 2 physical education PE periods in a week in our school till 10th, and those 2 periods used to be like really valuable. Obviously, I mean, every kid likes to play, so it's justified. But I remember there used to be so many times that we used to, like, obviously as kids you're excited that it's your PE period, so we used to go running down the stairs and go on the playground. There used to be so many times that and I don't know, I'm just going to put this as sadistic pleasure. The teachers used to say, okay, now since you guys have come running down the stairs and you didn't come in a line, you're not allowed to play in your PE period. What is this? I mean, I've never seen a maths teacher say, okay, since you guys were talking, I'm not going to take today's class, I'm going to cancel today's class. No, every teacher wants to finish their portion, so they are justified to do whatever they want. But we guys, I don't know, you're just not allowed to play period. I don't understand that. So what you're basically trying to say is that an academic period, a studying period is more important than exercise. I don't think that's the right message that you should be sending out there. What do you have to say about this?
I really wish that teachers in school basically gave more importance to co-curricular activities, like basically that involved exercises and all that. I mean, as you can see, I'm a clear-cut result of what happens when you don't exercise enough, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Like, obviously, I wish that someone told me how important exercising is, like at a young, at maybe an earlier stage of my life, so that I would have worked on that till this stage. Maybe that should definitely be given more importance. And in 11th and 12th, yeah, one thing about some teachers in some institutions, let's call them, they hype up, like the colleges that essentially everyone studies for. Let's not name them. I mean, they're basically institutes that teach technology, and they happen to be Indian. So, I mean, I'm not going to name it, but you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just sitting here, like, I see all these students that are going to these coaching centers and all. I'm like, what the are these students expecting? Like, do they think what Sundar Pichai is going to come at your doorstep and is going to welcome you to your hostel room or something? Do you think you'll get the girl of your dreams? Firstly, the boy to girl ratio is bad. तो वो सपना तो छोड़ ही दो, वो होगा ही नहीं. Forget. Alright. Secondly, you're not gonna get that 60 lakh job. Bhai, most people don't get more than freaking 10 lakhs. Most people don't go in. 10 lakhs is like a massive dream. 10 lakhs मिल गया तो मतलब खत्म. I'm done. I'm good. But then so I really don't like the way these colleges are hyped like this, man. It just completely shatters their dreams. Like they come into college expecting something, and then it doesn't turn out to be like what you expected or what you've heard. And I think it's unfair to the students, man. Like, someone's really got to give them a reality check. You know what I mean?
I agree with the fact that, I mean, let's accept that it's whatever you're saying, it's half of our frustration of not being in those colleges that's coming out. So let's accept that fact first and be okay with it. I mean, we are still doing okay. It's not like we are on the road or something. We are still managing, yeah. And what I want to say is maybe we are not the right judge to say if the college is hyped or not, but I can surely say that the message that teachers should be the message that teachers are giving to students, saying that if they don't get into these colleges, then their life is messed up, then their life will get messed up, is wrong. That is something that you should not be giving. And I just suddenly remember another thing from this that I would want to talk about is making the students' grades public. Now, from a personal opinion, I don't think that is a good thing to do, because that just shatters the child's confidence of the child who did bad. The child who did good will obviously be fine. You could praise him separately maybe, but when you put out a list showing whoever's come first and last, first of all, there's a lot of topper shaming that happens, wherein the guy who comes first gets called a nerd and shit, but the guy who comes last, people just start looking down upon him and making fun of him, and teachers start picking on that child just because they know that he's done bad. I don't think that is a good message that's sent out. What do you have to say?
Going back to what Srijan talked about earlier, shout out to Manipal, okay? I love my college, right? It's a nice place to be. DT, Edge, all that important. These are all important for our education, obviously. My Manipal friends know what I'm talking about. But yes. Anyway, yeah, definitely. I mean, see, if I'm being absolutely honest, yeah, topper shaming and shaming the person whoever comes last, yeah, is something that frankly I'm guilty for. I've done it before, okay? Like, it's not right. I obviously, I felt guilty, to be honest. Like, if I'm being absolutely honest, I did feel guilty after doing it. But I feel as though that's just how we are maybe molded. I think I can say that. I think I'm allowed to say that that's how we're molded. We're, like, maybe sometimes we judge people on the basis of their marks and we have no idea what they're capable of. Coming to that, I think maybe stuff like sports should be given more importance here. I see a lot of students who are like good at sports and then they're not that great at studies and they're looked down upon. Even though I mean this guy has a lot of potential. I remember I have this friend. I have this friend. I'm not going to name him, but he was just incredibly good at football. But he wasn't the best at like obviously academics because he focused a lot on football. But then he never really like pursued it because obviously his parents didn't agree with it. And I mean, agreed there's a lot of risk involved, but if you are successful, then there's definitely a lot of potential there, and there's definitely something that you can work with, right? Like I think foreign colleges definitely give a lot of importance to people who excel at certain sports. Like, what do you think?
And it also reminds me, I completely agree with you that foreign colleges keep sports related courses as part of their credit system. So basically, I could take a tennis course and that would be counted in the calculation for my GPA. That is the marks at the end of the semester. So I think that's a pretty cool concept, and that really sends across a message to students that we value academics as much as we value your sports. And by the way, just a reference to our older video if you haven't seen, about how there's discrimination among sports of different fields in India. My editor's going to put the link up there, so check that out if you haven't. And moving on, I think another case that we should talk about. So, okay, fine. So, we've been blaming the Indian education system so far. I've literally been ranting online about how the education system needs to be changed. How does that justify the fact that so many multi-billion dollar companies out there are being run by Indian CEOs? Well, my only answer to this question is that even though they have studied in India, most of them have gone abroad to do some sort of higher education. If you take Satya Nadella, for example, he has gone to University of Wisconsin. Of course, he's from our college, Manipal Institute of Technology. I mean, that's the only flex I'll ever have throughout my whole college life. That yeah, Satya Nadella was an alumni of our institute. Okay, so even though he studied in an Indian college, he went abroad to pursue higher studies, and the same thing was also with Sundar Pichai. He was from the college that we cannot mention, and then he went abroad to pursue his higher education. So maybe that's a message that people, maybe everyone ends up just going abroad. I don't know. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, so obviously that's definitely a point that I think people might make is that people who do manage to go through this rigorous system end up being successful, but the whole point. I mean, education is essentially the basis of the economy of a country. I mean, literally, the future of the country is in the hands of the current students, right? And so, like, instead of focusing on only just the successful few that go abroad, we should also focus on like everyone else. Like everyone else deserves importance. Going back to the discrimination point, that only maybe toppers are given importance by teachers, and maybe teachers try to enhance the toppers or like try to make the toppers better instead of focusing on maybe people who are struggling, helping them get better. So that is the counter argument to that point. Key that some people end up being billionaire like CEOs for billion dollar companies, but what about the rest of us? What about the rest of the people who aren't as successful, who aren't as fortunate, who maybe like aren't as maybe like see the people who ended up being CEOs of big companies. Yeah, they were very well guided, so they knew what they wanted to do, and like that guidance they got because they were good at what, like they were maybe good at studies. But what about the people? What about the students who feel hopeless? They shouldn't feel hopeless, right? You know what I mean? So I guess that's all I have to say is that maybe more people should like again like education should be more diverse per se. You should focus on not only studies, you should focus on extracurricular activities, and you shouldn't only focus on people who are like very good at studies. Then we should focus on people who are struggling. Maybe there are many people. I've personally met many students who are genuinely are interested in this and they want to excel. They want to become better, but they can't because they're not given enough guidance, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I guess to conclude, I could say that maybe Indian education system needs to understand that studies isn't everything. You know, Sachin Tendulkar failed his age standard. I mean, I'm sure he got he must have got pasted by his parents and his teachers. But looking back, what does education have to do in his sports related career? I mean, of course, it's always better if anyone is educated, but in his cricket related career, I don't think it really mattered whether he passed or he failed age standard. So Indian education system needs to understand to differentiate and find people in that who have a talent in a particular field. Maybe and again, maybe give lesser importance to studies and more to the holistic development of a child.
All right, so that was our take on what we feel as though maybe the Indian government can work on and make changes in the Indian education system to better suit more people. Obviously, we had a lot of fun making this video, and we hope
Definitely.
that it reaches the right people. Definitely, yeah. Feel free to subscribe. I mean, it would really mean a lot to us if you subscribe. It like please like the video, and if you really enjoyed it, then it would be nice if you shared the video.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Take care, guys.